SAKAMOTO DAYS is a Shonen Jump manga series about one of the top assassins in Japan that while at the height of his career, he meets a woman working at a convenience store, they fall in love, get married, and eventually have a daughter. Things are all fine and dandy, but things start to change when his old assassin days past comes back to haunt him, and his former pupil from his hitman days shows up. Hilarity ensues, drama ensues, and just incredible battles take place. Okay, so I just want to say quick that I made this video in last November, and I kind of abandoned it. I don't know why I did, because I do like this video. I kind of abandoned this video, but I am back now because the anime has been announced, so I feel like this is a good time to start getting back into making more Sakamoto Days content, especially before the anime actually releases. Yes, so if a lot of things here are a bit dated, it's because it was filmed last November, and that was before this arc that's happening right now really got started, and it was also sort of like new into my YouTube, dabbling in videos besides reactions sort of thing. So it's a bit different. I wasn't as experienced with doing, I hadn't done any manga reviews or anything like that yet, so it was all kind of new to me there. So yes, and I just wanted to add that, and I'm going to add a bit more onto this video now that I have had time to think about it. So I will be popping up again later on, and yes, so enjoy my video. I hope you do, and I'll let past me take it away now. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and today I'm making my first ever video talking about one of my favorite mangas right now, which is Sakamoto Days by Yuto Suzuki. So I adore this manga, so much, and it's been such a wild ride reading it. I did not think when I first started reading it that I was going to end up loving it as much as I do. At first I felt like a little meh about it. It does start kind of slow and changes directions a little bit throughout, but I grew to love it so quickly. And there's just so much about it that I would love to talk about. Which is why in this video, I just want to talk about the number one reason why I got so attached to this manga and why it's quickly becoming one of my favorites. First, I do have to say that, of course, this is my opinion, and it's only the first video I'm making on this series because I do really love this series and I do want to make another video about it. But it's going to take me a long time to make that video, so I thought this was a good one to start with. Also, I just have to say, there will be spoilers for this series. I'm not going to detail in the story, but you've been warned. There are spoilers for this series. So that's your official warning. If you really, really want to avoid spoilers, then definitely read it and come back. But yeah, anyways. Okay, so what is the reason? Why do I love Sakamoto Days so much? Of course, I do have to mention this story, and I love this story, and I do love the relationships between characters quite a bit as well. I like all the intrigue and secrets in this story, and I feel like we keep finding things out, but for every mystery that's solved, there's 10 more mysteries that present themselves. And honestly, I'm getting surprised by how much I'm getting hooked by the story and how convoluted it's getting. But that is for a whole other video to talk about. Right now, all I want to talk about is my favorite thing in Sakamoto Days, which it's very simple. The composition of the manga panels, the character design, and style of the story is just unmatched. I'm obsessed with it. This manga has some of my favorite character designs ever. And it's not even overly complicated. It's simple for the most part, but what I love about the character design is honestly the style and the fashion. I love the fashion in this series. I feel that the style of the characters in this series really sets itself apart from others. But I think it's important for me to be clear though. I'm not saying this is the best art in a manga series ever made. That's not what I'm saying. I just think the fashion in this series, the style, the way it lends itself to this series is just unique. There's obviously lots of amazing manga artists out there, but when it comes down to it, I just love a good vibe and a very aesthetically pleasing series to read and just some amazing character design, and we got it all here. We got all of it. This manga has such a cool feeling, and since it's about hitmen and assassins, I find the way that the characters are presented are just so important to the story. I don't think I would have appreciated the story as much if I didn't find the character design to be so spectacular, and the way the panels are set up so so like pleasing to look at. I think this series is set apart by the way the panels are set up and the fashion. I know that seems crazy, but yes, the fashion, just amazing. So the baggy clothes worn by almost all of the characters and the way Suzuki sets up his panels just presents us with this feeling, the vibe, that this story is just so cool. The baggy clothes are drawn with such interesting line work and detail. You can just tell his love for the character design, and it never feels stale. Take a character like Shin, who is obviously like a great character. He is the fan favorite. He has a very simple character design, but what's fun about Shin is that so much of his personality is expressed so well through his outfits and just the way that he carries himself and how he's drawn. He just comes off as like a chill guy, and it sets his character apart that he himself has this like unique array of outfits. Like he's always wearing different outfits. Something else about Shin that's an important example is how he's drawn carrying himself. Like honestly, he's a major sloucher, and I sit like the exact same way he does most of the time. It's like a small thing, but it really adds to his character. Also, I headcanon that since he's like always wearing baggy clothes, that he gets Sakamoto's hand-me-down clothes, and he's just like so happy to own clothes from his idol. Obviously, that's not like in the story, that's just my own theory, but I think that would be so cute. So am I just nerding out about fashion and style? Yeah, kind of. I'm also appreciating the way the panels are set up and the composition in the story, because I think that is really important and kind of works in tandem with the character design. Like they really work together to represent this cool feeling that's going on in the story. But about the fashion, I have been upfront in past videos about the love I have for characters who just have like a cool aesthetic and style. I mean, Choso and Kashimo are two of my favorite characters from Jujutsu Kaisen, which, I talk about a lot on this channel. I'm breaking away from it right now. And their character design is a huge part of why I love them so much. Their character design is so different and flows so well with the action in the story, and they have like this certain charm which makes them unique, and I find they're given so much love in the way that Gege draws them, and I really appreciate it. But this is not about Jujutsu Kaisen. So yes, I do love stylish characters. It really helps with pulling you into a story, and as an artist myself, it's extremely motivating seeing this entire manga just be like so aesthetically pleasing to look at. I feel like if you're an artist, you can really, really appreciate this series. Like, there's so much detail in the line work with the clothes, like, it just kind of breaks my brain a little sometimes. I think it's important to mention this, especially since there's no anime adaptation yet. When is it? I just want it so bad. Like, I've got the whole like soundtrack pictured in my mind. Like, I got so much of it pictured. I just need that anime adaptation. I just need to know it's happening, But anyways, usually I'm talking about like the chapters and the panels, but it's important for me to mention that the volume covers for this series just take everything I love about what I'm talking about, the art style in the manga, and just blasts it with color, this amazing composition. Like, these are some of my favorite volume covers ever. So many of the poses are so dynamic, and like the foreshortening, beautiful. But the detail is so prominent, and even the way he draws still has that like cool vibe with the messy line work. And once again, how he draws folds and clothing is just like, it's perfect. I love it. So the entire reason I got into Sakamoto Days was because I saw some of the character designs and the volume covers, and I decided to keep with it because, like I said, I honestly wasn't so into reading it at first. I felt like maybe it started a little slow or something. I think once more characters were introduced and stuck around, I became more obsessed. I think the beginning of the story felt more like a comedy to me, and that wasn't exactly what I was expecting. And I really started to love it more when the story got a bit more complicated with the introduction with the bounty on Sakamoto. So eventually the goofiness and more serious side really balanced out, and now I really appreciate the lighter and more fun chapters whenever we get them. This manga gets like extremely brutal at times, and maybe isn't on like JJK levels of absolute just destruction and savagery, but it's still like very violent. I mean, it is about assassins and hitmen and stuff, like, so death is sort of expected to be part of the plot. but the style really lends itself to both aspects of the story. It shines so much in these brutal chapters with the flow of the fights and how they're drawn and how their clothing flows with them, like especially with the baggy clothes. Just beautiful. It's beautiful. So don't worry, I have lots of examples I'm going to be talking about that I think will explain how I'm feeling about this. But there are times where the stylish aspects really make the lighter and fluffier chapters shine as well. I always think of that chapter where Shin and Sakamoto are wearing dinosaur heads while they're fighting. So now that I've discussed my adoration for the art and style of this manga, I just want to highlight some of my favorite panels, chapters, a couple volume covers, and talk about why I feel they drive my point home that the style of the series is so amazing and important. I have mentioned a couple times, I wasn't so into Sakamoto Days at first, but there were two things that totally changed my mind. And one was a volume cover, and the other was a fighting chapter and a specific panel from that fight. Of course, I just have to point out that from the beginning I liked the style, but I do feel like the style began to evolve and get better as the series goes on, which I think is pretty normal for a series. Okay, so I was shopping at a bookstore and I saw this volume cover, and honestly it just took my breath away and made me immediately invested in this character that I had not seen up to this point. So I was like, okay, I need to read this so I can see this character. And the volume cover I'm talking about is volume 5 with Ozaragi on it. Oh my god, when I saw her, it was like love at first sight. Of course, she doesn't have that baggy clothes look that like I really love, but didn't matter. She is wielding that buzzsaw in her black gown, and I just in love with her character design. And without any words said, any panel seen, I just knew from that volume cover, obviously, I mean, look at it, that she was just a total badass. I felt like I learned so much about her from this cover, and I wasn't let down by her character at all. I love her so much. We all love just a badass female character, so I knew I had to read it up to where she was. I wanted to know who she was, what her deal was, and I wanted to learn more about her. So the style of this cover is so beautiful. It's like so rigid and scary with the buzzsaw she has and like this dead look going on in her eyes. She also has so much beauty in this cover with the way her veil, dress, and hair are flowing. Like, don't even get me started with the detail of the lace on her sleeves. Like, as an artist, it hurts my brain, and that would take forever to draw. This cover has so much beauty and fierceness in it, and it doesn't even have as much color as a lot of the other volumes. But honestly, I was just so attracted to it. Like, it was so pleasing to look at. I love Ozaragi's character. She's so cool, and she's got that cute side too. Also love that she's mostly the driver of the order group, and she's complimented on how cool she looks when she's driving. So that's just a little thing that I like about her. So that's the volume cover I wanted to talk about that really got me into the story just based on looking at it. Just looking at it made me want to read it. So the first fight that got me really obsessed with the style, and this is an obvious one, was Sakamoto versus Boiled. What a weird name. You know the panel I'm talking about, I hope. We got some backstory about Sakamoto's old hitman days at the JCC being a top assassin alongside Nagumo, and we saw all of this through Boiled's perspective because he was also there, but he was not as popular. Boiled ended up becoming so disappointed in seeing what Sakamoto had become because he was a top hitman and now he's just a guy that runs a convenience store. The fight gets intense as we see Sakamoto do that thing where he loses all his weight, and it all boils down to that one panel of them in the Ferris wheel with them sitting across from each other, and Sakamoto's all bloody, he has his arm crossed, and Boiled, who's sitting across from him, just lights up the smoke. This panel goes so hard. It looks so cool, and it amplifies this badass vibe that the manga is getting across. Not every panel in the manga goes this hard, but it's all kind of a build up to these like panels. I mean, that's normal too in series. The clothes, the composition, and the character design in this fight is just so good. It's so cool. So now that I've talked about that chapter, I want to talk about a couple panels that kind of go along with this idea, but in a bit of a different way. So two characters take the spotlight here. Most of this video so far I'm talking about the fashion, but here I want to talk about the art specifically and the composition and the line work and the heaviness of it. The art is heavy, intense, and mysterious, but like that style is still there. It has this cool vibe that the series has, but it's just presented in a darker tone. If you know who I'm talking about, then you know. So first I'm talking about the series' main villain, Uzuki, or X, who is an example of this, as well as a mysterious old man in the order that never talks, but every scene he's in, he delivers. Like, this man has not said one word in the series, and he is in the top 10 fan favorites. He's like number 8 or something, I don't know. Of course, I'm talking about Takamura. I want to highlight the manga panel where Shin really meets X for the first time, and how the art in this panel just exemplifies this innate fear of the unknown. Uzuki is just sitting in a dark hallway, and his presence is so heavy that it just like terrifies Shin to the bone. And it's such an amazing introduction to a villain like him. Uzuki has this amazing ability to have this intense, heavy presence, but also be so fast that you can't even tell where he is sometimes. He's a very interesting character, and the art in this panel shows so much of his intensity, and I love it so much. And it's so juxtaposed with how he speaks, because he speaks so softly most of the time. So it's, you know, he's an interesting character because he goes two ways a lot of the time. And I would be remiss to not bring up his volume cover, which is so like minimal and not as heavy and scary, but it still has that really creepy vibe and this mysterious vibe. The volume cover and that one panel, without even telling us, it shows us, you know, what this character is about. So in a different way, Takamura is extremely similar. He's very mysterious, and although he's more of like a good guy character, which everyone in this series is like an assassin, so I don't know really who is a good person, but like every damn panel of this man is amazing. The line work, the composition, you feel the weight of how strong he is and how scared others are of him. So this panel of him in chapter 53 really shows it. I mean, every Sakamoto Days reader probably freaked out when they saw this. There's a lot of detail in this panel, and as he's slowly approaching his victim, you can feel how it's sort of dragged out because, you know, he's an old man. He's taking his time, but him stabbing his sword through the door to open it, just so badass. And the way it's drawn is creepy, like it's heavy and it's intense, but it gets across so much. I'm almost done getting excited about the art and fashion, okay? I'm almost done. However, I have a character who I feel like just embodies the entire reason I love Sakamoto Days. And of course, they're my favorite character, okay? Of course, they become my favorite character because I love a good aesthetic. So I want to talk about their fighting style, their fashion, character design, and just how every scene with them in it has no right to pop off like it does. And it's like how when I saw Choso in Jujutsu Kaisen for the first time, I just, like, literally on sight, I knew it. I knew I loved him. I was obsessed with Choso's fights, his design, and just fell in love with his character. And honestly, it all started with that initial first time I saw him. That's all it took for me to get invested. And it's the same with me again. Once I saw Gaku, he was introduced just like riding a bike with Uzuki, and like I just saw his design. I was like, oh, this man's gonna pop off. I know he is. And I just like, it's simple. Like his character design is simple, but I like immediately liked him. I was not disappointed by his character. He fully embodies that cool, like aesthetically pleasing design that I fall in love with. So the first few chapters he was in is when I wasn't like so invested in Sakamoto Days just yet, but like that whole arc, the attack on the JAA arc, just beautiful, perfection. I loved it so much. That was when I went from like liking it to being like in love with it. And honestly, a lot of it was just thanks to this monster of a man. Gaku is drawn with such beautiful detail, and the scene of him just tearing through the JAA, it needed to be animated yesterday, okay? He wears that baggy outfit that is something that, you know, I've said it, I love it so much. I love the baggy outfits. But he wears that baggy outfit that is just something I really love about Sakamoto Days, is just how so many characters wear baggy clothes and how it relates to this cool like hitman vibe the story has. I think he has a really unique weapon too, and I love how he's drawn fighting with it. I think he has my second favorite volume cover too, because like right now the 9th volume cover is like my obsession. He has this way of just entering the story in the just coolest way. He jumps through windows like a lot and stood his own kind of against Takamura. Like at least he was calm, even though he kind of just had to run away. I'm excited to see Gaku's potential, even though, you know, he's kind of awful sometimes. I have kind of a weird soft spot for him, and I don't know why. I think it would be really difficult for another character in the story to surpass how much I love him. Like, literally all it took was his character design, and I was invested. So many characters in the story have a cool design, whether it is the baggy clothes that just I adore, or some kind of unique fashion. I need this series to be animated because honestly the cosplays would just be so cool, and like I would have to do a Gaku costume, honestly. His design is like really simple, but it's the way he fights and the way the panels are composed. Like it just flows with it so well. And it has that like beautiful line work that I love. And his clothes are just drawn so well with how his fighting style, either just like jumping through windows, tearing through the JAA, or just like when he's just sitting there playing video games, you know, he looks comfy. I love his casual nature towards things and his like crazy superhuman strength. I think it'd be interesting to see him, you know, a bit more like on edge, in a tough position where he's genuinely scared. All right, I am back after talking about Gaku for a long time, and I did add part in the video where Gaku was my favorite character at that point, but Nagumo is now, they are tied. Not to give too much away because I do want to make a top 6 characters video. But anyways, now that I've talked about all this, I think I would like to do at the end of this video here is go rapid fire through some character designs and talk about some specific parts of Sakamoto Days that I appreciate. I love the sense of style in almost every Sakamoto Days character. We don't have repetitive uniforms that most characters wear in other series that I read. There is a sense of individuality in every character, and it's really inspiring to see how Suzuki designs his characters and that can express so much of their personality through their clothes and, you know, how they carry themselves. Some outfits feel realistic, some are, you know, a bit more unusual, but this world that the story takes place in, it's a blend of both. It's a blend of the unusual. It's a weird society, but also there's some realism. Some, not that much, but some. We have this crazy assassin organization that society depends on, and it's blended in with everyday life and civilization. So I just want to highlight some characters where their outfit or design is, you know, one, it maybe it's just really nice for us to look at, or it's helpful to understanding this character through their design. So yeah, let's rapid fire through some characters I want to talk about. So let's start with one of our only teen characters in the story. There's not that many. So Mafuyu is a teen character that we meet a bit later on into the story. And oh my god, when I tell you, I loved his design immediately with the mask. And you know I'm gonna say it, the baggy clothes. He has this cool demeanor, and I love the outfit. I love the mask. We know he doesn't like to be touched, and we know that he has blades in his shoes. And he gets drawn in this cool perspective to show off his shoes. And we even have the volume cover of him now, which is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. He has a cool way of moving around to fight. And so many panels he's featured in, he looks just so stylish. So I had to point him out. His outfit is baggy. It's iconic. And I feel like you can learn a lot by him by just looking at him and kind of his demeanor in general. This whole ensemble is just very pleasing to the eyes and a good representation of the fashion in this series. And Suzuki's skill in just drawing clothes, it's unreal. It gets better and better. I'm always blown away. Of course, I gotta give a shout out to my other best boy, Nagumo. I really like his style, and I find he dresses one of two ways. He either is like, sometimes he dresses more formally when he's doing more like order official business, but when he's casual, he's got this like kind of funky style to him. His shirts have interesting patterns, and before joining the order, he dressed a lot more casually. He wore a lot of like Hawaiian shirts and stuff like that, and shorts, which really showed off his tattoos, and I appreciate that a lot. I just really like his style, and yeah, he's got the baggy clothes too a lot of the time. And then on top of that, there's this whole other unique thing about Nagumo with the fact that he has so many tattoos that we know the meaning of lots of them, but not all of them. And he's the only character that's like this. And he's already kind of a bit of an unsettling, weird character that I love with my entire heart, but he's a strange dude. So the tattoos really make him stand out, and I also just appreciate that I just appreciate his fashion and his style. I love the funky shirts. I'm a big fan. And it really shows off his different personality, you know, the serious side of him and then the more silly side of him. It's expressed through his clothes. Once again, I wasn't expecting to like this design at first, okay? When I first saw her, I was like, oh no. But I really fucking like Kumanomi's design. She gives off the big sister vibe, quite literally she does, and honestly, she just looks great. Her whole demeanor exudes confidence, and her outfit shows off that confidence that she has in herself, her abilities. Like, she has the coolest pants that aren't, you know, they aren't super practical, but it makes sense because she's a character with a bit more of a non-practical ability. I love the dead look in her eyes, and I love her earrings. Her earrings are beautiful. She's an extremely strong and extremely brutal character, and I love her personality. I wrote here I was excited to see more of it, but I just love her personality so much. I also appreciate that since she is a woman character, showing more skin, that she is drawn to have form and shape to her body, and has a bit more of like a realistic body type. And she's like completely working that outfit. Like, she looks great. And something I like about how Suzuki draws her is that even though it could be considered fan servicey, it's always these like crazy perspectives that like for so many people would be so hard to draw, but he just nails it. He is so good at it. And I don't even like, to me, I'm like, this could maybe be fan servicey, but in my brain, I'm like just admiring the art and like how he draws her, so it like doesn't really come off that way. And I feel like if, you know, he's choosing to draw a woman in an outfit like this, he's doing it the right way, in my opinion. I think she looks amazing, and yeah, like once again, the outfit just totally exudes the confidence that she has in herself. So it's another great design. And now this is a bit different, but I want to talk about Akeyo's design. She's got the baggy clothes, yes, but it's not really like why I want to talk about her design. Also, I just want to make it clear that I am talking about Rion, not Akira, although this could apply to Akira as well, but I am specifically talking about Rion Akeyo. Just wanted to clear that up. I love her carefree attitude, I love her casual outfit, and honestly, her personality is one of my favorite in the series. But I have to say, and it's not just her, there's other characters, but the way that he draws her hair, I like, she is the representation, but you know, we got like Ozuragi, Shishiba, we have characters with longer hair that just like, he draws so well. But Akeyo's is wild, it's free, like, you know, it's like her, her hair is always drawn in the wind so beautifully, and I'm just obsessed. Like, her hair expresses her personality, that it's just like kind of, it's crazy, it's untamed, it's all over the place. And she's an all over the place character. She's very smart, she's very talented, but her hair is such a good representation of her. And the way he just draws hair, it's like he was like born to draw hair, honestly. It's so beautiful how he draws it flowing, how he draws it going in different directions. It's just such a talent. So, and any artist would appreciate how someone draws hair. It's so beautiful to see. So yes, another thing that shows through their design what their personality is like. And it flows so well with her. So I had to mention how he draws hair because it's very important. Shishiba is a special mention here because his hair is also gorgeous. So that was pretty much it for the rapid fire of talking about some character designs. I could honestly go on forever about it, but this video will be way too long if I do that. So I hope you enjoyed my little rapid fire, and I'll take it away to the outro me now. That's what this series does. It presents this cool character design, and I'm like, I must know everything about them. I want to learn. and they just do it so much with the way the panels are drawn and the way characters are represented. Like, it could be the most simple design ever, but they have like one thing that sets them apart, and I have to keep reading. Like, it gets my interest, you know? Like, I think that's such an amazing thing about this series, is how character based, you know, your interest is. Like, I love the story, but for me, the character design is like what just draws me in. I'm excited to see new designs from other characters, because like every time one is introduced, I'm like immediately invested in this character. All right, so that's just a small sample, literally like a super small sample of the biggest reason why I love Sakamoto Days. This manga is just such a ride. It's so fun to read, and even though it has darker moments, it's honestly like a breath of fresh air compared to reading Jujutsu Kaisen right now. So yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know your favorite Sakamoto Days characters, like what your favorite volume covers, you know. But anyways, please subscribe, like, comment, and also tell me why you love Sakamoto Days. I would love to hear it and talk about it. This series is just so fun. But yes, anyways, have a good day, and bye-bye.